Hello everyone, welcome back to the Shock Absorber podcast, and it is awesome to have you along with us, and I've got two irregular guests on the podcast. Welcome.
I'm a pretty irregular kind of dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know. I make those joke all the time, but welcome Ethan, welcome Brayden. Stu is off to the northwest New South Wales, Gadooga, I think.
Yep.
And Tim is unfortunately unwell.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have subbed in, very thankfully. Thank you.
Yeah, B team.
Yeah.
Well, super subs. Let's say that.
Bench warmers.
Yeah.
No, super subs.
Put me in, coach.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready.
Yep.
From was it like Cool Runnings? Hey, coach.
Hey, coach.
I got a pee, coach. Kiss my lucky egg.
What a film.
Yeah, it's a great movie, Cool Runnings. Anyway, here we are back talking about what is interesting in our culture. And you guys are both youth leaders. So I thought it'd be worthwhile doing something about youth, because three even older guys, including me, talking about youth might be a little bit on the nose. But you guys are in the forefront.
Staring it in the
foreface, the
Staring
forefront.
in the eyes. Yeah.
Staring into the eyes of the youth of Australia.
Yeah.
And you sound
A couple of times a week. It's terrifying. It's a terrifying thing. The youth's eyes are filled with fire and fear.
I'll see if what's the No Country for Old Men quote? Eyes like whetstones.
Oh, wow. That makes sense.
Sharp.
Anyway, we're going to talk about, and I'm sure lots of people will cringe at this, the 6'7" meme.
Yeah, I'm already cringing at it.
Because we act like, we know what it's about.
Yeah, come and listen to some millennials talk about
Youth culture.
Youth culture, yeah. Talk about these Zoomers.
It's funny you say that. I used to be the youth culture, and I'm now you saying that, and like you're really highlighting that I wasn't.
I'm like not even a millennial.
Yeah, I was going to say you're not a millennial.
I'm like weirdly in between. I'm
between Gen Z and
millennial. Yeah, I'm like on the cusp.
And the next generation is Alpha, right?
Yeah.
So this would be my children's generation. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They're 11, 9, and 5. They would be Gen Alpha. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to make that clear.
I feel like they move the years every 5
They
seconds.
do. They change it around.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm now being able to say I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm not a millennial.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm just a millennial.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm in this weird in between. Because it was Gen Y for a minute, and now it's millennial.
Not a thing
I don't
anymore.
know.
I think maybe because of the Y2K bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
But I think they cared about the letters, and now they don't care about the letters.
Yeah. But they're still doing it. You got Gen Z or Gen Z.
I think Gen Z, I don't know where that came from, but I think it's more fun to call them Zoomers. I think that's really entertaining.
It's funny, yep. And then, of course, they're going back to the start of the alphabet with Alpha.
Yes.
Okay, so Google's saying Gen X, 1965 to 1980. Millennials, 1981 to 1996.
That's me.
So I'm just in the millennial.
And I'm not a millennial.
Yep. And so 1997 to 2010, Zoomers or Gen Z. And Gen Alpha, 2010 to 2024.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
And that'll change.
Saying Gen Beta starting in 2025. Wow.
Any babies born in 2025. Gen Beta.
Next year, I'll have a beta,
you'll have a
beta baby.
Oh, yeah, you will. Congratulations. Beta baby you're going to have, aren't you?
It'd be interesting if all the kids that were born in COVID will be like, whether they shift it to that.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be such a baby boom.
That'd be my youngest. She was born in 2020.
Yeah. I think that could be interesting to see what happens down the line.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
With the naming conventions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay,
COVID.
according to that, I'm a Zoomer.
Okay.
So uniquely qualified.
Yeah.
You are, yeah. You're the very
Were you
top
born
end
in before 1981, Joel?
How dare you? Anyway, let's talk about it. You sent me a video this week,
I did.
Ethan, of like almost like an art critic on Instagram, and the video goes for a long time.
Yeah, despite being a Zoomer, I was reflecting on my algorithm, and I don't get the things that, like, I get a lot of the what is this meme mean? I'm like, go away, I know what this meme means.
I thought you were going to say, despite being a Zoomer, I was able to watch a video longer than 30 seconds.
That would have been way funnier to say.
Would have been good.
And it's true. It's true. Despite me being actually, I don't know if I did. I watched it. You can watch it on 2 times speed.
Oh yeah, you could have done that.
Yeah, I watched it on 2 times speed.
Get extra more done. Yeah. It's a what's his Aiden Walker on Instagram, and he's explaining how the 6-7 meme is abstract art. Now we might watch it. Now it goes for a while though, but so we'll cut it out of the actual edit. But we will also link to it in the show notes. So go ahead, Aiden, etc.
The 6-7 meme is the best evidence we have that postmodernists won the culture war, because this is the kind of thing artists were doing when they would just do a stripe on a canvas and you'd go to the museum and say, hey, my 5-year-old could do that. Your 5-year-old did that, and it is the 6-7 meme. The meaning of the meme is it has no meaning. It's about what 6-7 testifies to rather than what 6-7 is. It's just a number. But what it testifies to is the power of organized online publics to meme something into relevance, meme it into the minds of actual 67-year-olds without actually needing it to refer to anything in the real world. Because the thing we're making viral is entirely arbitrary, the meme itself is a more pure experiment in and illustration of the dynamics of social platforms and communities. People want to figure out what the internet is doing to them, even little kids. And so 6-7, hyping it to the moon, is a way of illustrating like, hey, this whole apparatus here we have, it is crazy. And what are we going to do about that power? How are we going to deal with that anxiety? And there's a desperate attempt here, I think, to assert yourself as a way of dealing with that anxiety.
There you go. We'll link to that in the show notes. But here's the first question I'll ask you about it. Is the 6-7 meme a work of art?
Yeah, no, I think he's gone, I'm an art person on the internet, and this is a thing that will get me views.
Yep, I agree.
And so he's getting to talk about the thing that is big, and so he's claiming that it's a work of art. Yet at the same time, I do think that historically, art was the way memes happened. Like,
and also how we see how people interpreted things happening at the time.
Yeah. So like you can track a history of not memes as in the haha funny meme, but the mnemonic symbols and stuff. You can track eras through art in a really interesting way that doesn't really work as much now. And so, but the translation from that context kind of works. So like I don't think I could confidently say that 6-7 was a work of art, but I can say that I think that it's doing the same kind of thing that art used to do, and probably still tries to do and still does, but it just has less of an impact in doing.
And it seems to not last as long. Brayden, do you get, like, you're obviously in contact with a lot of young crew. Does it annoy you?
I think I'll come back. I disagree with the point that I disagree with his evaluation of what abstract art is.
Okay.
I think he's taking it in a weird kind of way. Does it annoy me? It annoys you in a way of like not coming up with anything clever and just yelling something. But like I remember yelling neck minute.
Yeah.
I remember yelling or quoting random Simpsons episodes and things. So
Joel was just quoting like
Anchorman.
That was last episode actually.
Yeah, sorry.
Man.
You were just quoting Cool Runnings, like
Cool Runnings.
in meaningless, throwing meaningless words out that do actually come back somewhere.
It's pretty much like what my wife experiences daily, where I'm saying what sounds like gibberish to her, but in my mind it's Simpsons quotes, but she has no point of reference for having not watched the medium.
My wife's the same. She didn't watch much of The Simpsons either.
Yeah, so it's just like to them, I'm just spouting random things. So that's what they're doing.
And let's go back, what do you disagree on the definition of abstract art?
Correct me if I have misheard what he's saying, but he was drawing the bow that things like Duchamp and that kind of dadaist abstract art has no meaning. Is that what he was saying?
It was hard for me to figure that out.
I think what he was trying to say was not that those things have no meaning, but that they are an attempt to
create
meaning in a different way.
Yeah,
so it's like I'm not drawing a mountain.
Yeah,
I'm caring more about the paint on the board rather than
I guess what I'm saying is at least my believing of like Dadaist and stuff, which is actually one of my favorite kind of art movements, is Dadaist is taking away the kind of like he used the example of the mountain, though that's not Dadaist, that's just abstract. It's taking away the emphasis on what the form actually is and moving it to the thing the art being less about what the artist has actually put on the canvas and more about how that makes you feel, which I don't think 6-7 is.
No, I
don't think 6-7 is removing meaning so that you can imply your own meaning on that.
Yeah, I
or
agree.
removing familiarity so that you can put yourself in that, or removing the idea that art needs to be something that reflects a real life so that therefore you can put your own meaning into it. Like a Jackson Pollock is something that you can import your own meaning onto because there is less of a recognizable form on it. Whereas I feel like 6-7 isn't that at all.
Yeah.
It's just the lack of meaning because people don't understand the context and are using something more to relate to one another and try and be funny. I find the argument, I understand the line that he's taking, but I feel like it falls over pretty quickly.
Interesting. We should talk about how it kind of established itself.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the thing that I find most fascinating about memes like this, that how they take hold for a large amount of people, but they only last for a short amount of time. And they kind of build on top of each other with all these different elements of the internet to become something that's widespread. So you can correct me if I'm wrong too, Ethan, because you're onto this too. So it starts with a rap song by the rapper Skrilla, where he has 6-7 in it. Then LaMelo Ball, an NBA basketball player, people make highlight reels of him with that song over the top, but he's also 6'7" in height.
Yeah.
Then, is it a high school kid in America?
Yeah, and then people start yelling it at basketball games.
Because they yell it in the song,
Yep.
don't they? Yep. And then when he's playing, they're yelling it at the basketball game.
And then there's this separate thing where, okay, now it's the thing that's getting yelled, and this kid on TikTok gets videoed yelling 6-7.
And that's where he adds the hand actions.
And he adds the hand actions, and that blows up.
Right. Because it kind of looks like he's saying like 6-7 in between 6-7. Like that's what they
it's not doing anything. He's just moving his hands.
Yeah, he's just moving his hands.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
But maybe even people interpret it as that. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that people interpret
Yeah, it's not a 6 or it's just
Yeah.
it's just a hand movement.
And now we get to the point where Jai last weekend is preaching on suffering and accidentally says, I've read 6 or 7 books. And a number of people in the audience laughed because he said 6-7.
We played bingo at schoolies.
Yeah.
And every time the guy said 6-7, we laughed. It was great.
Which is like very harmless, but also just so odd. So how do you think it gets to this point where it seems so meaningless, but it is also meaningful to particularly a younger crew? Like, is it them creating a subculture for themselves?
I think, yes. I think the meaningless stuff, like I think his take, like his description of art was a bit off, and describing and comparing it to art felt a bit off, and like finding meaning in 6-7, I think that was a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I think his initial thing that he said, which was 6-7 is evidence that postmodernists won the culture war, is how he starts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that makes heaps of sense, because I think there's this thing in postmodernism which is going, stuff doesn't have to mean stuff.
Yeah.
Like it can just be like subjective truth is suddenly a thing. And so with postmodernism comes subjective truth, and therefore we can do this thing and be totally content with the fact that it doesn't mean anything.
But it's almost like it's that subculture thing of an in and an out of, like, I understand this thing, and part of the fun of it is that other people don't.
Which is an element of being a
And
teenager.
you and me can have fun enjoying the fact that we know that it doesn't mean anything, but the teacher at the front of the class who said something about the number 6 and now is getting something shouted at them is confused. And we're on the in and they're on the out.
Yeah.
And so even if there is no meaning to actually understand.
Is that part of the growing up as a teenager? Like as you're becoming a teenager, you're kind of detaching yourself from your parents to somewhat and forming your own identity. So then you create these subcultures that other people don't know about.
Yeah.
Like even like the word, that's sick. Like
Yeah.
that's where that kind of comes from, isn't it? Like from skateboarding and surfing culture, and people are like, yeah, that's sick. That was not how people in the 50s would say. They would say that person is sick. Like they're unwell.
Yeah. Yeah. I said I can't remember what the context was. I was chatting to someone in the grocery store, and I said, "Oh, that's unreal." And this random man was like, "Oh, you're a bit young to be saying unreal." And I was like, "Yeah, maybe." Like that's weird that he was like, "Yeah, unreal is a thing that this group of people said, not this group, like not the people your age." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
But that's an interesting point, I think, and talking about how these kind of memes disappear as well. So these 6, 7 won't last for very long.
Well, I just looked up the top memes by year, the 2020. So this list goes all the way back quite far. But ironically, they said the 100 men versus 1 gorilla is 2025. I think 6, 7 has beaten that.
oh yeah,
But like we could name 4 or 5 things that have already been this year
oh yeah,
in terms of memes.
easily."
But 2024 is the Rizzler.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
2023 was Pedro Pascal eating the sandwich, looking
Yep.
sad.
2024 was also the Roman Empire. Was that 2024?
Yep, that was Roman Empire.
That was
2022.
millennials doing that, though, wasn't it? The Roman Empire. That's when it started. My boyfriend only talks about the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like it was. Just, this is just like internet.
memes.
I
Yeah,
think
the
it's-
internet culture. Will Smith slaps The Rock in
Oh, yeah.
2022. 2021, Bernie.
Not
Bernie.
The Rock, it was Chris Rock, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. Chris Rock. Bernie Sanders with his mittens. that
Yes,
photo.
that was a really good
And
one.
then 2020 is Fleetwood Mac cranberry juice video, which was the dude skateboarding and drinking
Oh,
the cranberry
yeah.
juice. And listening to
That was,
drinks by
yeah.
that was a
Fleetwood
big
Mac.
COVID thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was kind of like, I'm escaping lockdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to your point, Joel, I think we can think of probably 4 or 5 things from each, like
I can
each
think of
year.
heaps more things from this year.
I'm surprised that Skibbity's not in there.
There's all the Skibbity toilet stuff.
Yeah.
There's the Italian brain rot stuff. There's
Yes.
the ninja low taper fade stuff.
Yep.
There's all these internet things that lasted a month.
Oh, like even K-pop Demon Hunters.
K-pop Demon Hunters,
yeah.
that was huge.
Yep. And that is gigantic with younger children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like even that's almost skipped my elder children, like 11 and
Yeah,
9-year-olds. They
Yeah.
know it, and they do kind of, they were doing an OzTag celebration when they scored a try that was kind of K-pop Demon, but it's 7-year-olds that are loving K-pop Demon Hunters.
Well,
for
and
example.
teenagers.
There's heaps
so
of
youth-
teenagers that love it.
Yeah,
Okay.
youth.
Yeah,
Yep.
youth group was nothing but that for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
But for 3 weeks. Now you made an interesting point just before we started, though, that it starts as most likely in a teenager space.
Yes.
However, because of the internet now, it gets picked up by younger generations far more quickly,
Yep.
and therefore it becomes uncool.
Yeah, it's just that vibe of like, oh, I think this is a funny thing that I'm doing, particularly in the like I'm on the in, you're
Yeah.
on the out thing.
Yeah.
Like this is a funny thing that I'm doing and saying and talking about. But now all these year 7 kids are saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And as a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, I'm like, oh, a 12-year-old a 13-year-old is saying this. And that immediately flips it. And so these younger guys hold on to it for a bit longer. And so you like what we've kind of watched over this last little while is these patterns of everyone gets into this thing.
They start
And
it.
then the young people get really into it. And then all the older people kind of fall off it. And you actually hear people being like, oh, that's not a thing anymore. Like,
Yeah, so it's like, I think even like if you use it, the grunge movement was owning something of we're done with the greed of the 80s kind of thing, but they owned it for their generation.
Yep.
But the generation that's kind of starting it they're not owning it, carrying it through. It's the generation after them who like, oh, we want to separate ourselves from that.
Yeah.
and I think there's a difference, and I don't know what this is, but we're talking a lot about over the last little while about youth being generative, and I think this is just another example of teenagers being generative, and creating cultural memes. But I think there's a difference, and creating cultural identity. And I think there's a difference between a little meme and a big meme, like almost capital M meme, like in that grunge was a movement,
Yeah.
like that swept a huge percentage and had a really big impact on thought and on meaning and on all these things. And this guy, he's claiming that 6-7 has an impact on meaning and
Yeah.
thought. But I don't know if it really has a massive one outside of the stuff we've talked about.
But I think its absence of meaning has allowed it to get bigger
Yes. Yeah.
faster
Oh, of
because a little kid doesn't need to understand what they're saying because there is no meaning. They can just yell it. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about because this. It's like, well, there is no this. So a 6-year-old can just yell it. And also, I think the thing that's helped it get bigger is there's no real inappropriate
it's
thing
not rude.
about.
Oh,
it's
that's
not
true.
rude. So it's like
Yeah.
then some kindergartner's not getting yelled at for making some inappropriate joke because like it's annoying, but it's not rude, and that allows things to spread quicker through more generations.
But does that mean a movement can't happen because...
Well, it's not that a movement can't happen. It's that whatever this, like, I think again his point is talking about teenagers trying to understand what it means to live in the internet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's where all the generative stuff that's happening now seems to be that. It seems to be we're trying to figure out how to be a culture and be on the internet at the same time.
Yep.
And that looks really different for me and really different to my mum, who is also on the internet. But like her generation is Facebook and like Facebook groups and
They didn't grow up as digital native kind of thing.
yeah. And I'm all like Instagram and Messenger and then below me, well, I guess Snapchat was made for me and I'm just not using it. But Snapchat's really big for people under me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And yeah, like there's these even on the internet, there's all these generational differences.
Yeah, absolutely.
And each group is like got their own little identity culturally. And so it doesn't necessarily look like the grunge movement, but there is something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it might even be this generation, but I wonder if the like Gen Alpha, Gen Beta will do a similar thing to the grunge. Like, how could you have let us be on these devices?
Possibly.
Like, you know how it's like grunge's reaction to greed and like selling out and all that kind of thing. We're just going to wear dirty looking clothes and grow our hair. That maybe there's going to be this movement of, I mean, I've heard it described as like smartphones are the new smoking of our generation.
Yeah, interesting.
They will look back on it and go, this is so detrimental to our health. And we know that's happening, and we've talked about it a lot on the podcast so much. And even Tim last week was talking about we're made to be incarnate. We're made to be in incarnate relationships. However, we're getting tricked into thinking that we can replicate that online. And even using the example of Mark Andreessen, who's a Silicon Valley guy, was saying that people have reality. We're now getting to the point where we have reality privilege, and that some people that are able to have real lives, they're saying that if you have, you might be able to have a better life online than you are in reality, and then so you have reality privilege, which I think is a little bit of a stretch. Not a little bit, probably too big of a stretch. So yeah, do you think that there will? What do you like perceive the reaction to be? You don't really know what it is, but maybe I feel like the memeing something into relevance, like he says in that video. Sounds like they are trying to go, what does this mean? We know that we grew up with these devices with almost unfettered access to the internet. We're trying to understand what that means. Brayden, you've talked about before to me about how you grew up with the internet, but you didn't really grow up with smartphones as such. This generation has grown up with smartphones. Smartphones. So maybe the next reaction is, look what you've done to us. Like we need to, and like maybe, I don't know if it's a reaction towards dumb phones, because there's still kids in year 5 and year 6 in my kids' schools that are like, I want an iPhone, give me an iPhone. So I'm wondering what the next movement is.
Yeah, I guess my thought on that will be whether, like, there's lots of things our society still does that we know are detrimental to our health or things like that. But yeah, like smoking. You're still allowed to smoke, but we've put age restrictions on it. You're allowed to drink, but we put age restrictions on it. So, what kind of
social media bans?
Yeah, but that's what I think is going to be very interesting about the way that people treat that. There's always a weird mix between like the freedom to do what we want, but also trying to take care of people who might not be able to make an informed decision yet, a fully thought out decision yet. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see how not just like older people take that legislation, but how younger people go with the social media ban. I'm really interested to see what things are like in what youth group kids are talking about in terms of social media in like 6 months when they've all figured out how to hack it, if they want to. Because they'll figure it out. Like we got given school computers when I was in high school, and like you were meant to only be able to do certain things on them and blah blah blah, and that went out the window in 5 minutes because younger people just inherently, it's very different to like learn something and grow up with something, and like their understanding of new technologies is often they figure things out pretty quickly. So I'm very interested to see how it's kind of approached. Because I saw a big thing talking about like, is smoking cool again? Because there's all these famous people now who smoke again. And so like there's always going to be a balance between kind of understanding that something's good for you, but also people weighing that cost and deciding that it's worth it, like drinking, like smoking, like all kinds of things. So I'm interested to see where that kind of shifts. But at the same time, like I can't, and I think I've felt this way for a while, and I don't know if it'll still be the case. I feel like you're talking about like a kickback or a movement like grunge. I don't know if that's a movement is possible anymore.
I don't know.
Just because things are so individual and scattered and splintered. I think there are things that break through that splinter, like 6-7 or like big cultural moments that happen, like elections or memes around things like that, or the Oasis touring or the Eras tour. There will be things that are big enough to break into the social zeitgeist in some kind of way, in a way where like your mum might know what it is, and so a primary school kid might know what it is. But I don't feel like something cataclysmic like the grunge movement or like emo or something like that will actually be able to break through, because people are so individual in what they consume. Everybody's like Fish was speaking about at the start. His algorithm is changing in a way that he's not getting the 6-7 memes. He's getting the memes explaining 6-7.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even getting memes explaining 6-7. I'm getting like, here's what you do with your first kid. Like that's legit the memes I'm getting. And I started getting like, my algorithm's affected by them obviously know I'm married to a pregnant lady, and I start getting advertised through stuff like that. So I just feel like, and again, speculating as a 30-year-old male in one part of the world, that I can't see how something as big as a movement like that could happen in the current setup of individualism. But like you said, Joel, maybe they all step off the algorithm and start experiencing something in a different way, because of maybe a social media ban or people stepping away from things. But I just feel like people generally lean into something that they see as freedom rather than step out of it, even if they think it might be detrimental for the long term. It's hard to think long term when you're 14.
So the reason I asked that question is like, what's the reaction? Is because my son's going to year 7 next year. And so he's traveling quite a distance to the school that he's going to. And so my wife especially is like, I want him to have a phone just so we know where he is and he can contact us. I'm like, okay. But we got to think about this properly. And so I've done a lot of research and trying to understand, like, what should I do as a parent? How should we do this? Can I give him an old iPhone? And really I came to the conclusion that no, I can't give him, because it's so easy to break an iPhone. So what we eventually came to a thing is that it's an Android phone, which upsets me because I'm an Apple fanboy, but it has phone, text. There's all these things about dumb phones and stuff, but this is a Samsung Android phone with a different software installed on it, and you can see all the texts and everything, and you can start. It's meant to be a phone that grows with your child.
Interesting.
So it's definitely a smartphone, but it doesn't have access to the internet. All the apps, like it still uses the Google App Store. What's it called? Play Store. But you can allow they have a list that's allowed, and then you can still allow a few more if you want. Like, for example, he'll need the train app, so I'll allow him to download that, for example. Now you can see all his texts and everything else as well, but as he grows older, I can start stepping back from that. too.
But speaking, like, you've obviously made a very informed decision with that. Like, speaking in terms of shock absorber and, like, you're trying to step in that situation, how is your Christian wisdom informing that decision?
That's a good question, because that's where I want to lead with this
Yeah.
too eventually. Like, what's our responses in a wider
Yeah.
context? Is that I reckon it comes from my experience of the internet,
Yeah.
growing up in a non-Christian household
Yeah.
and knowing what can be accessed on the internet.
Yeah.
And
It's everything, anywhere, all of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And I know you've spoken about that before too, Brayden. Like, and even if you ever want to go back, if you listen to Shock Absorber right now, you want to listen to one of our mates, Lewis, talking about what the internet has done to his generation. It was a fantastic episode on Chip Lunch. But I think the knowledge and the awareness of what it can be done, and also understanding, I think now, and Jonathan Haidt is huge on this, and I've learned so much from him. But just basically saying, we have helicopter parented our kids so much that we send them off to the expert to do swimming and et cetera, et cetera. But then we give them completely free access to anything online. So we won't helicopter parent them online. And I think that's rather naive. I get a little bit frustrated, parents going, oh, I didn't know they were doing that. Well, you really haven't put in enough effort to understand this. And I think as I'm a Christian, it's like I know what he could access. I know this is not a godly stuff to be looking at, whatever it is, or also the way that people can also access him.
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing. I recently read about there's a rise in sextortion. Have you heard about this? Is that people will pretend to be a 17-year-old, 16-year-old girl, start chatting with another teenager online, and send either AI or doctored nude photos to the boy, and then say, send it back to us. They take that and go, now I've got your photos. I'll release these unless you give me a certain amount of money. And there's a spate of boys killing themselves because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I've done. Well, look what I've done. So that's another reason why. And so there are so many apps that can just be used for that kind of stuff that I think that's where I've gone. I want to be able to know where he is. I want him to be able to send me a text if he wants, or give me a phone call, which is something we didn't do back in the day, which is funny anyway. But then he doesn't. I think it's being a protective parent to know this is not what comes in. Like, I can protect what comes into you, like, and what you consume, which you may not know how to deal with just due to your developmental stage in life. Whereas I can see some unhealthy stuff, and I'm still a sinful guy, but also I can also go, I know I shouldn't be looking at this. Whereas children, for example, can be attacked by a lot of stuff that's online without them knowing about it. That's where I'm.
But I think and I'm going back to my own experience. The only reason I created a Facebook account was because everything was getting organized on Facebook through events. And so the only reason I made a Facebook account originally was like, oh, I'm missing out on being invited to things because I don't have this. And so I guess I'm interested in kind of the social impact of, yes, it might be illegal if you're younger than 16, but if people view something as being missing out on something or having a social impact, that's going to be the interesting thing. Or does it just move to somewhere else? Which
is also the argument that some children have, like, I should have a phone, otherwise I'll be ostracized.
Yes.
As well. Like, if I don't have a phone, then I'm just a loser.
Yeah.
And because people organise things and I don't know what to say, and I'm kept out of it.
Or I don't know what they're talking about.
Yep.
It's bigger than like, oh no, I didn't watch Futurama last night, so I don't know what joke they're making. It's like, no, they've been talking all night and I haven't been included in it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Ethan, youth mission and what is it? Youth pastor and mission pastor? I always get that mixed up.
Youth mission pastor.
Youth mission pastor. What do you think is a Christian response in the way that we talk about the shock absorber, like we see things happening in youth culture, they're at the forefront of change and what's going on. We want to bring biblical wisdom and a little bit more rigidity to that. How do you think we move forward knowing that people are trying to meme relevance into existence, as they said?
Yeah, I'm a little like, I can't talk to the stuff you guys are thinking through as parents, right? Like I don't think that at the moment, I'm really thinking about restricting or helping teenagers use the whatever. But I am in conversation about phone bans. Like all the schools have phone bans at the moment.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's come in pretty recently.
Yeah, and I've been sitting and chatting with teenagers about like how they get around phone bans is actually most of the conversations.
Really?
Because it's like, yeah, sometimes we just do it, but often we'll bring some people bring a fake phone, some people
A fake phone.
So like a second phone. If you have to hand your phone in the office,
you've
it's
got
like,
another one.
I'll
just hand this in.
Right.
Like some boys were just talking about like sitting in the playground and they'll like hide it behind their bags, and then put it in their bags because the teachers can't search their bags. And there's stuff like that. Like I think there's always going to be a, like Brayden was saying, it's like this is my freedom and you're taking it away. We'll see what I think it'll be really.
Out a workaround.
I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. I think that one of the things that the reason we played this video was talking about internet culture rather than just internet safety. And I think internet culture is a really interesting one because whether we take phones away or not, it's not going to change much, I don't think.
Yeah.
Because I think they're all still going to they're going to figure out a way to impact each other.
And the internet still exists.
And the internet's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that as a Christian, one of the things that we need to be aware of is this fact that postmodernism has won the cultural war, right? Like it's this idea that like there's this like subjective truth is a really big deal. Freedom is a really interesting like personal individualistic freedom, individualism. These things are all internet culture. Like, yes, internet culture creates 6-7, but 6-7 is a product of all these other things the internet has created culturally. So I think like when we talked about like capital M meme, like movement kind of stuff, like it is happening. We're in one. Like people are going to look back on this and be like, these 10 years was TikTok.
Yep.
Like between 2010 and 2027, like that's 17 years of TikTok eventually getting invented. Like we get Vine, we get Facebook, we get Instagram, and then TikTok comes onto the scene and it just blows up the world as all those things. But all those things were brewing already. And so we're sitting in this, like, let's look at all these impacts of internet culture. And yeah, one thing it's made is 6-7. And yeah, as this guy was talking about, it's a product of all those things. As Christians, how do we respond to internet culture?
Yeah.
Like there's like the individual, just don't use your phone. Like that's good. Like get off social media. They're all helpful things for you. Like bringing it back to the smoking stuff we were talking about. Like, some stuff's good for you, some stuff's bad for you. But like culturally, what's winning and how do we talk to that? I think that's a really big conversation. I don't necessarily have a particular answer to that, but but that's the stuff that the shock absorber is good at. The shock absorber is really good at going, look at this big cultural shift. Let's have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about how every one of you guys have a perspective that is weirdly individualistic.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean for your faith? Well, the Bible says that we are individuals. God has made us as individuals, but we were made for relationship with each other and with the God of the universe. And so how do we go, it's beautiful that you like the stuff like that, I think is really important to think about as we think about the cultural impact of this internet reality.
I think we have a big challenge as older Christians when we say things, and like we're like society through this social media ban that we have in Australia now is saying, the internet is this aspect of the internet we're saying is bad for your development. And if we're going to say that as older Christians and then sit around on our phones, what are we modeling? Where Paul says follow, like copy me as I try and copy Christ. It's like, okay, if we're trying to copy Christ, how are we doing that in a way that is helpful, that isn't just expressing, well, this is my freedom, so and because I can, it's therefore good. It's like, no, as Christians, we're told that just because we can do stuff doesn't mean it's good for us. So I think we have
everything is permissible, not beneficial.
Exactly. We have a great challenge as older Christians to say, okay, take this wisdom that that you've been given through years of trying to live out faith to this situation and model it. And not that they have to, that's, again, the youth will bring their experience and their flexibility to this situation, and we'll figure out great and wonderful things, ways to follow Jesus that we will never think of. But we also need to kind of walk the walk if we're going to say that this thing, this aspect of maybe, like, I'm just concentrating on social media here because that's kind of the big thing that we're talking about in terms of the cultural moment, I think, in Australia. If we're going to walk towards that thing and say, well, we don't think it's actually that helpful for kids. We actually don't think it's that helpful for teenagers either, but we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're banning them so you can use it more almost, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I don't think that, but I think it's just approaching it with that understanding that if we're going to say that it's not that helpful for certain situations, I think it gives us a great opportunity to look at ourselves and say, well, how helpful is it? And what does it look like to be a Christian online? What does it look like to be a Christian offline? What does it look like for Christians to make decisions? Because, there's nowhere in the Bible that says don't have social media.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that speak into our lives in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah, and it's this stuff where we are, as Christians, living in the world still.
Yeah.
And so there is an element to which we need to be in there and go, well, how do we do this together? Because the world is digital and physical now. And it's a lot of going, a lot of what Brayden said. It's just like, so here's another thing, another example. Another example is culturally, the internet has shifted a generation of people away from literacy. So people are reading less and people have shorter attention spans. That's just a reality. And so we as older Christians, how do we encourage people to be living in faith well? If a big part of our faith is sitting and reading the Bible or sitting in a long sermon, Bible study. Like how do we go, culturally we don't read, culturally we don't listen.
Interesting.
And yet the big things that we as Anglicans do is read and listen.
Yeah.
What do we do? And I don't have an answer for that, but I do think that as we look at this cultural impact, the shock absorber has again another opportunity to go, like Brayden was saying, let's model listening and reading, because they're not going away, they're important. Just because it's not culturally a thing anymore doesn't mean we shouldn't read our Bibles and doesn't mean we shouldn't listen to people talk about them. And so how do we model that and then encourage the younger people to help figure that out for them
and take it on for themselves? Well, I don't know.
No, I have no idea.
That's the hard thing, isn't it? Knowing, and I think the not the argument, but the fact that you're stating before, Brayden, that everything is so. Stu talks about, for example, how things became more plurified when the Walkman existed, and he was driving down to the beach in the car, and everyone's listening to different bands. The internet has amplified that idea so much that you can't. I think that's why you're saying you can't get a movement. I think which is what you said.
Yeah.
There's a big reason why you can't get a movement. But also, I think that may be why is one of the reasons why we're not sure how to do that, because it is so splintered off in so many different directions. A big thing about Sorrel was it appealed to a lot of skaters and surfers to begin with, because it was part of that grunge movement. It was wrapped up in that. And so the guys that were leading that were part of that generation at the time as well. But that's what led Stu to going, we need to understand what's happening in the next generation of youth is what they're going to bring up. And that's why it's generative. What do you think then what is this going to generate? I think that's what, I mean, maybe that's what we're trying to answer. The question we're trying to answer is that what is it going to generate? Is it going to, not just literacy, is it going to generate different ways that we deliver sermons? Is it going to change? And like, as you know, as Sydney Anglicans, the word of God is so important, and how we consume it and read it and understand it and preach it is really important. So how do we, and maybe I'm just asking you a question again, is that I'm unsure how we respond. And I think about this because, again, my son's 11.
Yeah.
So it's going to be happening for him soon.
I think I disagree with both of you in that I think that there is movements.
All right.
I just think they look different.
Was there more multiple movements, not just one recognisable?
No. There's one recognizable movement.
Okay.
But I think part of that one recognizable movement is that there's multiple. Like I don't know. I think we forever when the police or the who is it? There's people who go on strike together in unions, and they like match up to make stuff change. Like I think that happens on the internet there all the time. It's not necessarily going on strike, but it's all these people love X. Like all the Taylor Swift fans love her, and all the NFL fans love Travis, and because and then both of those two are doing something similar, and now we're all doing something. Like I can't think of an example of that because they're not doing something similar at the moment.
Yeah.
But it does like 6-7 is a thing because the whole internet goes, oh, something's happening. What like let's do the thing together. Now it is short and it is silly, and the internet works in feedback loops, so it just works in these weird spirals of if there's not information coming back into that feedback loop, it stops. But I don't think that means that movements don't happen, because I think social change has already happened.
Yeah, I think movements happen. They're just smaller and shorter.
But I think they're different in that they're smaller, they're shorter. It's bursts, but it's like, why can I confidently say that literacy is not a thing, and then on the same side say that culturally there's been no movement? Okay. It's like, well, actually, there's been a huge cultural movement, and it's not like, it doesn't look anything like the other ones, but there's something there. And so, again, that's all to say that I don't know what the future is, but I'm not making the future, and so I can't know what the future is. But I think I can confidently say that there are movements happening. There is a movement happening of culture.
The gospel stands the test of time.
I think Christians are a movement anyway.
Okay.
And we happen to be in the middle of every movement that's ever happened. And God does something in them.
Yep. It's like that argument of women changing the Roman Empire, for example. Well, it's not an argument. It's
women changing the Roman Empire. The Christian women shaped the whole of that empire because they were actually...
But they were looking after babies.
Looking after each other and looking after babies.
And other people who didn't have families.
And Christian men were looking after the women. And the Romans went, what the heck is this? Mm-hmm. And the women went, oh, this is great. And then they shifted culturally. The whole of the Roman Empire became Christians. It was amazing. The 70s movement or the hippie movement was all about love, drugs, and whatever.
Free sex.
Yeah. And Christians are really not keen on free sex and not keen on drugs. Yep. And yet when we really like love, let's do that. And whatever is happening now, there's a whole bunch of people, like my social media feed is filled with people becoming Christians. And I don't know what it is, but the internet is helping people become Christians.
Yeah, they're talking about the revival, the mini revival that they're having in the UK, for example.
And all these people rocking up to churches because they saw stuff online.
Yeah.
Like it happens all the time. And that's whatever this cultural thing is that is TikTok or that is social media.
God's working through
is moving people to the gospel through God's Spirit.
Yep.
And I think that whatever happens, it's us going, well, how can we go, God, let's do this. Like there's a big movement happening. Let's go. And he's already doing it. Like,
and perhaps if there's a fear of a movement or something changing, or even I don't understand 6-7, I wonder if we're trusting God enough to go, you are the supreme ruler of the universe. You're going to take care of this no matter what. Show us what you want us to do through it.
Yeah. You've given us these tools. You've given us this space. You've given us this weird cultural shift. What are you doing in this weird cultural shift, in this weird space that's been brewing for like 17 years? Like it's so interesting that all of this is happening as the new atheism movement dies.
It's dying off, yep.
Like that. It's so strange that whole thing was, we're going to kill Christianity, and it looked like they were winning, and yet
even now Richard Dawkins is saying he's a cultural Christian,
right? Like, and there's this weird thing where all these people are like, truth isn't a thing anymore. I don't read. I am free to do whatever I want.
So that would be postmodernists winning.
Postmodernism has won, and yet in postmodernism's victory, there is this weird group of people that are still being Christians or still becoming Christians.
Yep.
And
still saying Jesus changes everything.
And still saying Jesus changes everything. And I think that is the generative nature of young people, is that they get the gospel and they go, I'm already here. And so I'm going to be a Christian here where I am.
Yeah.
And that is what's really powerful. And that's one of the things I think we struggle with being older, is we go, well, I'm not in there, but I'm a Christian.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to go, hey, you're in that space. How do we help you? So one of the things I'm trying to think about at the moment that I'd love, if anyone hears this podcast and wants to chat to me about this, I'd love help, because I've been talking to a whole bunch of boys with really wild ADHD. Like, I'm like this, and I think ADHD is amazing, because as hard as it is, it's also super, super, super powerful in that it makes the brain do crazy, miraculous things.
Focus.
Yeah. Like super focus, like super investment in things, in skills or in whatever. It somehow often quite breeds a lot of charisma. Like it's all this stuff happens, and it's like, well, how do we use this? And instead of being sad about hard behavior stuff, go, well, how do we be Christians and have really wild ADHD? What does that look like? How do we all go on mission together? Because we've got all this. You know what I mean? Like it's like, if mental health is, because of all this internet stuff, been a big cultural movement, how do we be Christians in that? And how do we make change in that? And I think that's what these young people are all trying to figure out, and some of them have figured it out.
And what some of the memes probably speak to is that back to what my friend was saying in that reel, of they're actually trying to make sense of what it is. And then Christian teenagers would also be trying to make sense of what that is.
Yeah.
And we need to partner with them. I think wisdom.
I think that's exactly what's happening.
Be generative as well.
Yeah. And so I think, but you're right in that the movement isn't as visually clear.
Yes.
Like, oh, cool, everyone's wearing clothes differently because they're reacting to the 80s. It's like, well, no, actually, like everyone's wearing clothes differently because they saw this thing online. And some people started dressing like, I don't know, the 90s got really popular and everyone's wearing baggy jeans.
Yeah, long jeans and stuff.
And it's like, well, why did that happen? I don't know. I think it's got something to do with cultural fashion in people on the internet. And that's
also,
how it's
I
all
wonder,
responded.
harking back to a period where we didn't have, they're seeing that generation didn't have the internet as we do now. I think that's also that reactionary thing to it as well.
Totally. Yeah, there's something going on there. And I think it's funny though, because it looks like we're all in the same space. But like Brayden, you were saying that we're all really spread out despite all being on the internet together.
Yeah, the internet tricks us that we're on the same space.
Yeah, it says, oh, you're all together.
But
and then
you're
actually...
incarnate. That's what we were talking about last week.
Yeah, you're all together, you're all whatever. And then you look at your algorithm and you're, oh, actually, we're all really spread out. And we're all thinking different things.
You're not getting like the
moving
football
different
coaching content that I get on Instagram.
But somehow, despite that, there is some stuff that just pushes through all different types of... and somehow Jesus finds its way into all these different things, his way into all these different things. And I think that's really cool and interesting.
Yeah, I love that. Brayden, you got anything else you want to add?
Nope.
Before we wrap up? That was a great episode, guys. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that. And I learnt a lot. I think that was what I enjoyed. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate you stepping in.
Super subs
For Tim and Ethan. It's been great.
Australia A.
Yeah.
Australia A. That's actually a good description. I like that, Australia A. Very on point with the cricket at this point in time.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone that's been listening and watching as well. If you want to get involved in this conversation, email me, joel@shockabsorber.com.au, or drop a comment on our YouTube channel. And we love that because that pushes up in the algorithm thing that we're talking about. So more people will see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But this is a conversation. It's not this is what we should do, this is what we shouldn't do. But I do think there are some biblical truths that stay in it the whole time, is which I think you're saying. And whether it's, like we said, from the Roman Empire, Middle Ages, back all the way up to now, where we're at this supposed peak end of technology, which is only going to keep going.
Yeah, I think our whole thing is we talk about how does the Bible talk to our culture?
Yes.
And how can we
react
react against or respond to our culture with the Bible in hand? And I think like getting alongside teenagers who are yelling numbers and going, well, how do we like what are you doing in your space? I had a boy come up to me and he's doing a Bible reading plan. Some person's generated an app, and the app it's like Duolingo.
Oh yeah.
But it's a Bible. And so he's like, yeah, they've like gamified it. I'm
That's
like,
clever.
sick.
Yeah.
I'm like, see how long that lasts for you? I'm going to keep checking in because that sounds cool.
Yeah, right. Okay. I think that's a perfect example to finish on. Thank you very much, boys.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Joel.
Thanks everyone listening, watching, and we'll finish with the one way.